Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people. We are just a handful of days away from the launch of the Glitchwalkers DLC for Astroneer. As luck would have it, Systemera graciously granted me early access to this expansion, so we're jumping into a review, but it's going to be spoiler-free. I'm breaking this review down into 6 sections. The new planet, Aeoluz, the return of storms, the new tech tree and modules, base game update, the new Antagonist Blitz, and finally, my overall impression of the DLC as a whole. I've included timestamps so you can jump to any of those sections. But before we get into all of this, don't forget that I am giving away 5 copies of the Glitchwalkers DLC. Check the video in the pinned comment below to find out how you can enter to win. Today, I am going to make every effort to avoid spoilers wherever possible. Because of that, I will try to avoid showing any of the mission log text or tooltips from in-game modules, but some may sneak in now and then. And that works out really well because Systemera has stipulated that I can only show you gameplay up to a certain point in the expansion. If you are looking for all of the details and are not worried about spoilers, well, I will have a walkthrough of the expansion coming out in just a few days on the 13th. So be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. On top of that, I will have a Q&A video the day before on the 12th where I answer all of your questions about Glitchwalkers. So drop a comment down below with your questions and I'll answer the most upvoted questions next week. Or drop by the Vainglorious Discord server and head to our Astroneer channel to ask your questions there. Just be sure to @ me if you're asking a question on Discord. And one last thing to mention for full disclosure, Systemera provided me with a key for the expansion so I could bring this review to you. Aside from some limits on what I can show you and talk about and when, there were no other terms included. But yeah, I got the expansion for free, but you will see in just a few minutes that this did not impact my review at all. Okay, enough intro. Let's take a look at the expansion, starting with a new planet, Aeoluz. Astroneers across the galaxy have been begging for a new solar system and new planets for years. Systemera has delivered with a new planet. Right now, it exists all by its lonesome in its own system, but that's okay because this place is huge. How huge? Well, while I haven't actually calculated it out, I'm fairly certain you could probably fit all of Desolo, the moon of Silva, within one of the lower cave regions. Yeah, it's huge. And not only is it massive, it is clear a lot of time and attention went into making Aeolus feel like an entirely new place, yet somehow familiar at the same time. Each region is full of things to look at and explore. Aside from the region you begin in, they are all incredibly vast, with some of them proving to be challenging obstacles in their own right. And that is just the surface regions. Due to the embargo with Systemera, I cannot yet show you the lower cave regions, but believe me when I say they are truly spectacular. In fact, they are probably my favorite places to visit on the entire planet. If you think these surface regions look incredibly detailed, wait until you see the caves. That isn't to say it's perfect. Though to be fair, it isn't a shortcoming of the planet itself. I think its size is simply pushing the performance of the game quite a bit. I noticed a bunch of LOD pop in while playing, including some details popping in when I was practically right on top of them. There were also occasional seams visible where different terrain types or elevations come together, allowing me to see through the terrain. I do play with all the graphical settings maxed out, so that might have something to do with it. I know Systemera has heard this feedback from a few other folks who have early access, so it is an issue that they are aware of. Overall though, the new planet Aeolus is incredible, and it alone would be worth the price of the expansion. I think there is only one thing that players have consistently asked for over the years besides new planets or solar systems. They want storms back. While I personally found the storms to be obnoxious back in the day, a lot of people enjoyed them. And, well, yeah, they're back. Though the storms of Glitchwalkers are not the storms of Astroneer's pre 1.0 days. They aren't random things that appear on the horizon that you have to run and take shelter from unless you want to get taken out by a random flying UPS box. Instead, these storms are integral to the gameplay loop of the expansion. They even appear in the base game and include a small taste of how they fit into the gameplay of the expansion. While the storms no longer pose a threat of taking a UPS box to the face, they are not without risk. The storms are, after all, part of the new Antagonist's grand scheme, so of course they are not going to simply be a big swirling ball. Since this is a spoiler-free review, I'll save the details of how and why they can harm you for my walkthrough on the 13th. I will say this though, as someone who found the original storms to be obnoxious and completely void of a reason to exist, I was apprehensive when I heard that Glitchwalkers was bringing storms back. Having played through the expansion a couple times now, and that apprehension is gone. The storms are well integrated into the gameplay and its story, and how you interact with them is very well done. Okay, so I think using the phrasing of new tech tree isn't all too accurate. The research catalog is still the research catalog, and it has a couple of new modules in it that tie in with the expansion. But to call it a new tech tree is a stretch. There are some slight changes to when and how you unlock items in the research catalog, but a new tech tree it is not. I'm not showing it to you because it would definitely spoil a significant portion of the gameplay, but trust me, this isn't new, it's just mildly different. And this is where my major complaint about the expansion enters the conversation. During a recent livestream, Joe mentioned that none of your progress from your base game carries over into the expansion. He did a bit of marketing hand-waving and tried to explain it away as, did you really think a new antagonist was going to let you keep all your stuff? Well, considering this new antagonist is in an expansion to the game, yeah, I kind of expected that my progress in the base game would be worth something in the expansion. Since Joe already talked about it, I'm not really spoiling anything. So, not much is unlocked when you load into the expansion. Worse still, none of your research bytes transfer over from the base game save. And if that is not bad enough, you can't, well, hold that thought until the 13th when I do my walkthrough, because that gets into spoiler stuff. Look, I never expected to be able to bring every single item I ever created in Astroneer into the expansion. I mean, how would that even work? You make 600 trips in a shuttle to move it all? That'd be silly. But I didn't expect that quite literally everything I have ever done in the base game would be utterly and completely meaningless. Yeah, you do have to make some progress in the missions of the base game before you can begin the expansion gameplay, but even then that feels pointless since the base game progress has absolutely zero impact on the expansion gameplay. At the very least, I feel that we should have been able to carry over research bytes, and going further, it would have been nice to be able to recall mission rewards from the landing pad in the expansion. Without spoiling anything, there is a mechanism in the expansion that prevents a player from just unlocking everything in the research catalog and then sailing through the gameplay in no time at all. But nope, the way it stands, I truly feel like everything I have ever done in Astroneer is rendered pointless the moment I enter the expansion. And since it works like this, why even bother having a base game mission requirement to begin with? If that progress does not matter in the expansion, it seems arbitrary. But enough about this, let's move on. This is an area I feel the expansion does a really great job, right up until the point it falls flat on its face. Before I get into it though, I want to point out that I am very appreciative of the fact that Systemera ensured that your friends can join you in the expansion, even if they do not own it. They can take part in the adventure, help you through the story, and experience most of what the expansion has to offer. But beyond that, there are elements of the expansion that appear in the base game. Storms appear on nearly every planet, and you can engage with them in much the same way as you would in the expansion. Sure, they don't introduce a huge gameplay loop for you to complete, but they can be somewhat useful in the base game experience. Really, Systemera did a great job including some of the vibe of the expansion in the base game. Though it all kind of falls apart as you complete the limited number of missions related to the expansion that are present in the base game. Again, not spoiling anything, but the way you go from the base game to the expansion is, well, I don't know how else to put this. It's clunky and inelegant. It is incredibly immersion breaking. It is so bad, in fact, that I've heard from others who have early access, and they thought they encountered a bug when they went to enter the expansion gameplay. The most disappointing aspect of that is how incredibly cool that transition is introduced. Broken record here, no spoilers, but trust me, it is a very cool thing that happens, and you're expecting something equally cool to happen when you interact with a thing to enter the expansion gameplay. But nope, it just kind of goes thud. You'll see what I'm talking about in my walkthrough on the 13th. So cool. Astroneer has an actual antagonist now beyond just some plants who hate you. I'm all for it. I'm not spoiling anything here since it's been part of marketing and talked about in Xbox articles and elsewhere. The antagonist is Blitz, which is actually the hacker moniker of an Astroneer named Lynn, who was part of a doomed crew on an Exodus mission. Through the gameplay, you learn a little bit about why Blitz is being the big baddie, and I guess it works. I don't know. Despite spending the entire expansion trying to stop their nefarious plans, I never really felt like it was all that clear why they are doing what they are doing. I mean, it is explained, but the lore isn't fleshed out enough to really make Blitz anything beyond just a generic villain. I feel more could have been done up front to really sell the story here. Despite reading through all of the lore and seeing the effects of Blitz's evil plan playing out in the world of the expansion, they weren't ever really front and center in the gameplay for me. I was really hoping for more of a presence to be felt, and it just is not there. So, what is my overall impression? You'd think after the last few points that I wasn't too pleased. But, despite its shortcomings, I did enjoy my time playing the expansion, and I definitely think it's worth the $10 to buy it, and I think you should wishlist it right now and buy it the moment it is available, which is 9 AM Pacific time on the 13th. If you enjoy Astroneer, you are going to enjoy the Glitchwalkers expansion. You collect resources, you create things with those resources. Those things let you transform the resources into new resources that let you make new things. You gather research bytes to unlock schematics for even more new things. And you forget to bring enough tethers and wind up suffocating because you were sure you could reach that medium wind turbine on some wreckage, but forgot that you walk slower when carrying something that large. No, that did not happen to me. It's just an example. Moving on. All of the things that make Astroneer a great game are here. And the planet itself really delivers by providing an entirely new place to explore and marvel at the incredibly detailed regions. And since it is a new planet and an entirely new system, you get to relearn where you find resources and the best research, and which regions have the meanest plants that want to kill you. And all of this familiarity is wrapped up in an entirely new and unique gameplay loop. And that new gameplay loop takes all the stuff that feels familiar and tweaks it just enough to create a great new adventure. Sure, it is not a perfect 10 out of 10, but it is definitely a solid 8, or even 8.5. If you enjoy Astroneer, you should buy Glitchwalkers. You'll have a great time. Before I wrap up today, I want to remind you of 2 things I mentioned in the intro. First, I am giving away 5 copies of the Glitchwalkers expansion, and entering to win is completely free. Be sure to check out the video linked in the description below and in the pinned comment to find out how to enter to win a copy. Second, don't forget that I am going to have a Glitchwalkers Q&A video on the 12th where I will answer your questions about the expansion. I will not be limited in what I can talk about or show you in game, so drop your questions about Glitchwalkers in the comments below and click the like button on your favorite questions posted by others. And while you're down there, please hit the like button on the video. Comments and likes help my video to be seen by more people, so I really do appreciate you taking the time to do those things. And get subscribed while you're at it. I feature regular Astroneer news videos about each update and limited time event. I also feature the best guide to Astroneer in my Astroneer Academy series. Plus, I have a ton of other videos from a variety of different games. Get subscribed so you don't miss any of it. I can't wait to answer your questions in the Q&A video on the 12th and bring you an in-depth walkthrough on the 13th. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch my video today. I know there are dozens of other videos that went live at the same time about the exact same topic, plus there are tens of thousands of other videos you could watch on YouTube, yet you chose to spend your time with me. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.